Entrepreneurs, thought leaders, and empowered visionaries, welcome to Impact is Greater Than Influence. I'm your host, Rodney Waits, and I'm here to tell you about how my biggest realization became my greatest contribution to this world. Today I have Kalie Kinsella. Kalie, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
So this is actually really cool because you're one of my best friends. Like, we not only have become great friends, but we also open a company together. I think everything that you do is not only impactful, but also something that a lot of people are fearful of admitting that they can accomplish, and you just do it so willingly, and you want to give back to so many people. And I don't know, I want to thank you for that.
Thank you. Every time you always talk about, how, and I think everybody, right, we struggle with taking compliments, especially when we're recovering from being people pleasers and all that kind of stuff. So thank you. That means a lot. I'm just practicing just taking it all in and just letting it just kind of wash over me.
Yes. So in that regard, it hasn't always been easy for you to take compliments. It hasn't always been easy for you to see that there were people out there that would be wanting to not only compliment you for your strengths, but also acknowledge you for just being you.
100%. I think a lot of it too is just having struggled with insecurity for so many years, just from the issues I've had in my past, the trauma I've gone through. The skills that I've honed in on today have actually really led me to take ownership and control of that. And so for me, though it was a survival mechanism for so many years, it almost is hard to accept compliments for that,
Mm.
because to me it was a means to a living. It was kind of like breathing for me, that I had to perform it a certain way, make people happy in a certain way, do enough for people so that they'd love and accept me. And so for a long time, it felt like people were thanking me for just being alive and breathing, when to me that was a source of oxygen, essentially.
Mm.
So, yeah, I think that was it. Definitely, it took a long time to really just be grounded in who I was. And just when people say thank you, I say, thank you. Thank you. And accept the
And you mean
compliments.
it.
Yeah, and I do mean it. I
I
mean it.
love that.
Yeah.
Well, tell us a little bit about where your origin story begins, because you're not only a mom, and I love Rylan, but you also are a owner of a transaction coordination company. You are a part owner in a consulting company that we run together, and you're an aspiring entrepreneur who just always has the best ways to integrate people's ideas and dreams to make them visions and become reality. Like, there's not many people that do that. Where did that start?
It's a great question. I think a lot of it started was as a kid. I grew up in a really toxic environment. It was mom and dad always screaming at each other. Brother was kind of a rebellious mess. I was raised in a cult type church that basically felt that women were to be in submission and their only place was to be in the home, making dinner, having babies. Just there was no other means for a woman to really show any value. And so, being raised in that oppressive, toxic environment, I tended to turn towards things like the only thing that I knew I could control in that environment, which was my own room and my own space. My own room and my own space were always highly organized, and it was a way that I could control things. And I would set up my room in different ways to try to see how could I configure this space. So it was almost like my own little sanctuary away from all the toxicity that occurred as soon as I walked out my bedroom door. And over time, I started to hone in on those skills because it brought me peace. It brought me calm. It brought me a feeling, even after I left home and I was running my own life, it brought me that feeling of just centering and feeling like I am in control of something,
Mm.
and I can control something that was good. So instead of turning to drugs, alcohol, promiscuity, whatever you want to call it, because of the horrible environment I was raised in, I became a very OCD, very organized, structured, regimented person, and always looked for things to organize because that was my way of bringing calm to chaos.
Wow. I love that. And I can only imagine how that feels to have that kind of upbringing, especially because me being a Christian, me being someone who wants to emulate servant leadership, that's something that I probably would have never really saw that existed. And I thank you for sharing that. You know, something that's important to me is the organization kind of got you out of the chaos. and you kind of want to do that for people now, and you're actively doing that at scale for people now.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And I love, my favorite part is when I'll have a client that I work with that'll say, "Oh, you don't want to look in my email inbox," or "You don't want to look in my closet." And I
Me.
say, "No, but I do." Oh, but I do. And it's not a judgment thing. It's more of a, I know how much peace this brought me,
Wow.
and I want to give that back. And so I will get people that will call me even months after I've worked with them and just say, "I want you to know how thankful I am that you taught me how to use these little organization skills, or that you organized my cooking list for me and showed me how to do it on my phone without pen and paper, and or you organized my master closet and color coordination. It brings me joy to walk in my closet, or it brings me joy to work again because I'm not stressed all the time." And I think just being able to bring peace to people, when I feel the pain of not having peace and control in your life as a kid, for 18 years of my life, I was completely in a very submergent environment where I didn't have any means to control the chaos around me. And now I can bring a little bit of that. And in my way, I feel like I'm bringing a little bit of healing to each person I get to work with.
You are. You really are. Can you tell me about some areas in people's lives that they might be overlooking, that might be like chaotic, and you've seen that they're either reluctant to change it, or maybe they don't know where to start?
I think the most common thing I hear is a lot of business owners will come to me and say, "I need help with organizing my business." I was like, "That's great." And after talking to them, I'll start to learn it's not just your business that needs organizing, it's you that needs
Right.
organizing. So we're going to need to start on a much more personal level and restructure your mindset around different habits. And a lot of people that I talk to will say, "I need help with my business." And in the same breath, I'll hear, "Oh, I forgot my kid's soccer game. Oh, I was supposed to go take this to my daughter at school. Oh, so that immediately will click in my head as, that's where we're going to start. We're going to start there with your home calendar, not your business calendar. Let's start getting those foundational pieces put together, so that, because every time you miss an appointment, every time you miss something or double book yourself, or, the time constraints on us are already so difficult to deal with and to trudge through, that getting your personal calendar and time management dialed in is just going to make it that much easier. And a lot of times, if I can help you with your personal calendar, you will pick up those habits and naturally be able to realign and readjust your business calendar. So I think that's one area I see a lot, is the scheduling and time conflicts that a lot of people running businesses tend to go with. I also see a lot of people that don't really care if their workspace is disorderly. It doesn't bother them to have stacks of paper and paper clips everywhere and sticky notes of that one person that they were supposed to follow up with 10 years ago, and they still have the sticky notes. And you ask people like, "Okay, like, where, what does that sticky note mean?" "Oh, well, I think that was my cousin's, maybe." And I was, okay, there we go. Like,
Guilty.
there it is. We all are, right? We all are in some way.
Yeah.
So I think I see that a lot, especially with entrepreneurs, because I work with a lot of business owners. I think I see that a lot with people that own businesses. It's just the orderliness of your space does matter. And it does subconsciously affect you, because it is, I believe, a representation of how your mind works and how your life is. If your desk is disorderly and a mess, that tells me that something in your life may be a mess as well.
That's so true. It's extremely powerful. And seeing your background of how it helped you, it's extremely viable that it makes all the sense in the world for you to do what you do now. Can you tell us and tell me, what's been your favorite case study, without like saying the person's name? Like, you just have so much joy like in your job and what you do. How did it look for them?
Well, you were one of my favorite people to work with
Dang
on
it.
that.
I was hoping it wouldn't be me, but that's okay. That's awesome.
You knew it was coming a little bit. You had a feeling.
Well, I do know that I was triggered when you said the email thing, because do you remember how many I had?
If I remember, well, one of your inboxes had, I want to say, like 7,900 and something unread emails.
Yeah.
Another one had probably like 1,500 or so. But then as we got into it, you're like, "Oh, I don't need that one." And then you just delete it. "Oh, I
Yeah.
don't need that one, delete it." it's going to keep coming back if you don't unsubscribe and just do the little habits right then and there to stop it from piling up. But no, this is not about you. And this is not, I'm not going to yell at you. But no, I think it was
Which is
really,
completely normal.
it is, well, it's normal for this brother-sister relationship.
That's
Siblings
awesome.
fight all the time.
Yeah.
But I think you were just such a joy to work with because you were so open and receptive to what I was saying. It's hard. I know it's hard to just, when you're switching from a disorganized mindset to an organized mindset, it is a challenge, right?
Sure.
Working out and eating right is a challenge. Otherwise, everyone would be perfectly fit and beautiful, right?
Yeah.
So, but I really appreciated your open mindset to it. I think another group that I got to work with was a husband-wife real estate team, and they had other people that were in their team, but it was really impactful because their organizational struggles were actually affecting their marriage. And I got to see that, and I got to have a very raw and authentic and real and respectful conversation with them about how the issues of disorganization were affecting their marriage. And I got a call after we had this conversation with the husband and wife team. Of course, I tend to like speaking with the wife about those kind of topics. Of course, you never want to cross those boundaries or anything. But I felt close enough to her that I wanted to really truly make a good impact on her,
right.
and help them as much as I could. And she called me a few days later after, and I just could hear her crying on the phone. I thought, oh my goodness, are the kids okay? Is hubby okay? What's going on? And she said, we were able to have a huge breakthrough in our marriage that has been a stumbling block for my husband, she said, talking to me for about 6 years, and he didn't know how to tell me that this was an issue until you were able to open my eyes to the fact that my disorganization was causing rifts in our own marriage life, and I didn't even realize it.
Right.
And that was so powerful to me because it just really, I mean, it was such a, like sometimes I'll just get goosebumps thinking about it because it's, your relationship with your significant other, as you know, about to get married, super exciting.
Yes, I am very excited.
You should be. You should be.
Excited.
I think she definitely. Like, you have a better half now.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I can
say
that.
Hate to say that
very
to you, but
easily.
So. But I would think it was just really impactful to see that how, like, most people think of, like, oh, I'm disorganized. Oh, I'm always late. Oh, I'm chronically this. Or, oh, like, I did never know where anything is.
Right.
Those things add up, and you never know what kind of a negative impact that's having on you until sometimes people have to bring it out. And I got to be the lucky one. I felt blessed to be able to have helped just mend that little tiny rift that just with teaching basic organization skills. And with that comes a lot of psychology and communication techniques as well.
Don't you dare. So this is actually something I'm very, very, very interested as well, as you well know. I think that the psychological things that come with cleaning up your space and making it a clean space for others, like it starts to make you see more worth a little bit. Am I right?
I would say yes, definitely. You just feel good after. It's kind of when you
feel so great.
Yeah, it's kind of like when you're like, I'm so tired, I don't want to work out, and then you do it, and you're like, all right.
I'm glad I did that.
Like, yeah, that's me. I did it.
That's cool.
So, and I think, cleaning a space or organizing something and checking something off of a list, I think it's a form of detox.
Ooh.
I really do feel that. It's a soul detox.
That's a big one.
And I think when people start to feel that kind of sense of calm and peace, you walk into your master closet and it's clean, it's organized, you feel better about yourself as a person too. Right. And those little things add up. We live in such a chaotic world, especially right now. Things are a mess. Everyone's feeling it. Yeah. Everybody is feeling it. And so it's like if you can just take control of your own life and have your things in order, it makes the world seem a lot less daunting when you're trying to approach it.
That's heavy. So I like that you mentioned that because you and I have had multiple conversations about how overstimulated of a culture we live in and how many things are telling us to do one thing and telling us to do a different thing the next day. Like with all that going on, how is it that we can start to only focus on a couple key elements that will make us feel like we're cleaning up our own spaces and getting our acts together? Like, how hard is that? Like, it's so hard when we're bombarded by social media, different mentors, and we love mentors, and we hope to be aspiring mentors for many. But the thing is like, which ones do you really listen to?
That is a really tough one. I was telling you the other day, I said my Instagram speaks to me
Yeah.
in so many different ways, and it'll have on one slide, or a GIF or a meme, it'll say, "Pursue your dreams at all cost." And don't sway away from them. But then in another meme, it'll say, "But if a door closes, that's telling you and giving you a sign." Okay, well, you said pursue it. I'm going to barge down the door, but now you're saying don't go through the door. And
Right.
it's just, there's so much out there. I think that I've picked certain key people that speak to me, and everyone needs to pick somebody that speaks to them and pushes them to be better, pushes them to do that. Even on a sense of just organizing your thoughts and organizing your heart, organizing your mindset is also an important element that I think organizers classically just get kind of pushed to the side or brushed under the rug. There is a lot that has to do with your mindset and your heart with that as well. And so one of my favorite people is Rachel Hollis. She's a well-known author. She is an incredible female entrepreneur. And one of the things that she talks about is, setting goals. How do you accomplish goals? And one of the principles she's used that I have implemented in my life profusely is you look at the goal at the end point, and then you do the right step before that. What is
Sure.
the very step before that goal? Most people start at the beginning and they're like, oh yeah, I want to do that, so I got to start here and then work my way up. But she actually starts at the goal and then does, what's the step directly before that? What's the step directly before that? What's the step directly before that? And then she knows where to start, because until you know your end goal, you aren't going to know the correct pursuit of it. So even with that, I've used that principle to organize myself, even my thoughts, even something as dumb as I need to make a casserole. Okay, so before the casserole is done and I'm eating it and I'm enjoying it, what's the step before that? The baking process. What's the step before that? Combining the ingredients together. What's the step before that? Making a list of the ingredients and the key things that I need. And then now you know where your starting point is. Great. I'm going to start with the key ingredients. It's as simple as that. And that I've used that in so many different elements when I work with clients, when I'm doing projects. What's the end goal? And usually it starts with a lot of business owners, like, what's your pain point? What's your biggest pain point? What's your biggest frustration?
Right.
And so I think a lot of times the joke is that, oh, bill me for your therapy session. Thanks for that. And it's like, no, this is part of this. We are detoxing. It's
real life.
It's just such a bigger thing than just color coding or color organizing your clothes. This is such a bigger thing, and people just need to, I think, maybe have a little bit of eye opener as far as organizing those things is just a little bit of a component of that. But to go back to what your original question was, I think sorting through all the different vision statements and quotes and everything out there, I think it just has to resonate with you at the time you're at in your life.
That's it.
But also pulling to where you want to be. I went through something really personally devastating to me just a few weeks back, and I felt like my life was in such a dark place. So Instagram was kind of constantly, of course, like it does, putting all these thoughts of, just, pursue love at all costs, or, don't let go yet, or blah, 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 blah.
Wow.
And what I needed to realize is that I needed to go through a healing process at the end of the day. So the quotes that really stood out to me and the things that stood out to me were the ones that said, things that are beyond your control, you just have to let go. Or the ones that were saying, I know it seems dark now, but it's going to get better. There is light at the end of the tunnel. And so I kind of looked at, what is my end goal? What's the step before that? What's the step before that? And I think I've grasped onto the quotes, the memes, the GIFs, all the insights and the wisdom and stuff that people put and flood the internet with and flood all these things with that we were just talking about. I think I tend to resonate towards those that will get me that much closer to what my end goal is.
I love that. Do you think that more people need to hear, not a harsh truth, but need to hear the direct truth for them in that moment in order to help them with seeing what's going to be valuable for them? Because in all of these crazy sayings that we look at and these quotes that we look at, it's hard to decipher which one's going to be specifically for us, right? So do you believe in the approach of just saying, like, listen, just go and do what your heart desires and find out the hard way? Because that's like a big thing of being a parent, right? Is like you have to really think about, well, if I keep them from falling, then they're not going to learn. And there's just so many things that we need to just decipher and figure out, like go through a filtering process of, is this important to us? Is this something we're kind of just getting influenced by? Like, it all goes back to the people who we follow and what we value. Tell us a little bit more about like the things that are helpful for in those times when you're getting like so much, just misdirection when it comes to all those things.
For sure. And I think I've followed and watched, I pay closer attention to the people that have resonated with me on where I need to be, not where I want to be.
That's a great key.
So for me, I hear people say all the time, "Oh, I need to be better about monitoring my schedule. I need to be better about not being late and chronically late." Okay, but then they're paying attention to people that are maybe inadvertently enabling them
Yeah.
to continue with that path. Is, oh, life is what it is, just take it day by day, or just roll with the punches, it's fine, which there is some truth to that for sure.
Right.
But if you are an innately disorganized person, or you have issues with being late or tardy to things, and it's something that you know about yourself and you do in your heart actually want to change it, then be on the lookout for people that are going to actually, and things and wisdom and insights and gifts and memes and all the content that's going to push you to that.
Right.
And push you to where you need to be, not what you want to hear.
Sure.
And I think it could just, especially with organization, it can go in so many different ways. And I think personal life, we're going to be inundated with stuff all the time, and there's so many mixed messages. But like you often remind me, it goes back to God and God's plan.
It does.
And I love Khloe Kardashian, of all people, on the show The Kardashians. I know. Here we go.
What?
I know. You didn't think that was going to come out.
No.
Yeah.
That.
And cut.
Right.
But Khloe Kardashian said in a quote that she said, "We make our plans and God laughs."
Mm-hmm.
And she said that because it is. We are just little ants running around trying to do all these things and do all and be the best version of ourselves and stuff. And it's just at the end of the day, God does have a plan for us. And
Always.
so, like you've always reminded me, is going back to God and praying. I think truly, and me. I was raised in a Christian religious home, but I ran away from a lot of that when I ran away from the cult church and ran away from my home and ran away from everything I'd ever known. And but I'm grateful because you have showed me, and I've gotten to a point where I've started to just pray to clear the clutter of all those messages coming through, because they're always oppositional messages. It's like, do this, don't do this, but do this, but don't do this. And it's like, sometimes, if we're listening to all those memes and gifts, those are from people, right? And people are flawed. They are not always going to give us the best insights and advice, but I know God will. And I think sometimes it's really good to just take a minute and maybe, if it's an overwhelm and it's just you're feeling overstimulated, just take a break and pray and clear your mind.
Wow. I love to do that myself. And many times when I'm reminding you, I'm actually speaking to myself as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's so great of a reminder to have, but you have to remember the grace of God is something that was not earned. It was given. And there's so many people out there that try to do a really great job at being a advocate for God's love, but they do it in a way to where it almost comes off as selfish. And that's something that I truly can't resonate with, but I understand with us being flawed human beings, I just have to have wisdom and discernment as much as I can to try to stay away from those things, because I can be judgmental and I can be harsh when I'm looking and seeing these things, or I can just say, you know what? I don't have to fight God's battles. He's so big that he can fight his own.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what I think goes with those wrong messages that we take in as well.
It's just so much to look at. And
it is.
Even the Bible, and even the way that the Bible's laid out, is so organized. That's I can really appreciate. I love the creation story because it's on day 1 we did this, on day 2 we did this, on day 3 there was this, and I appreciate that, and I can have a lot of respect. And it's like sometimes I think in the little ways, it's it shows me that I am a child of God. I that is maybe my godly gift, is the gift of producing order from chaos, because that's what God did.
Yeah, and as you know, because just full disclosure for anyone that hasn't been able to see anything that Kalie and I have been a part of thus far, you've been here from almost the very, very beginning of this just becoming thoughts for me. And that change in me as I've started to progress with the brand and with the messaging and with just like the self-discovery, it wasn't always pretty, right? Like you've seen so much of where I needed to be able to just step back and say, yes, God has a plan, and this is what I feel my greatest contribution can be, is because I had been given a select amount of skill sets that I chose to work on because I was passionate about it. But when you find that God's got your back and you put him at the center of everything, the rest will just come. The rest will start to fall in line. And I'm not saying there won't be hardships, and you know that. But I'm saying that once you have that as a target and once you have that as a priority, then everything else becomes so much easier. It's almost like God's a master organizer himself, because although we have, kind of our tendencies to take things and put them out of order, it always comes back to his order at the end.
It always works out how it's supposed to in the end.
It does.
And I think that is always kind of a reminder. I think that's probably one of the most helpful memes I've ever seen on any social media platform, is just it's gonna turn out how it's gonna turn out. So there is a part of that, but I think we have a responsibility to do our best and to I know there is a lot to be said for being a stewardship of what you have. It's like, even if you don't have much, even if you just have like a little 1-bedroom apartment, you could have a super organized, neat, take, ownership of that and have that be a place of refuge. And so it doesn't matter. You could have a 4,000 square foot mansion or a little tiny shack on a swamp. Doesn't matter.
Right.
As long as, you are just giving it the best and being a good steward of what things and materials you have.
That's perfect.
I've seen even I'll go downtown and see, Pensacola or wherever in Orlando and see homeless people and stuff like that. And I was watching this guy the other day, and he was on the corner, had his signs and was panhandling. And I was kind of just watching him for a little bit. And I noticed he went to his backpack, and he pulled out his backpack, and he had plastic Ziploc bags with all different stuff. Like, he pulled out like 5 different ones, and he had something in here, something in here, something. It was like almost like he had organized his backpack.
Wow.
And that hit me hard, because I was like, thinking to myself, even that guy who has so little still cares enough to even organize his backpack, like his homeless back. His life is got to be difficult, and he still had the want or wherewithal to be a good steward of what he had, as little as he had. And that was really cool for me. I did end up, giving him food and I took
Good.
dinner to him, because I told him, I said, I really like your backpack being organized. It's really cool. And he was like, well, thanks. And I said, you're welcome. And so now I see him on the same corner, because he's right outside my apartment, and just give him a quick wave and smile. And
he's probably like, what a weird compliment. But you know what? Okay.
He has no idea.
Yeah, that's great. I love the fact that we can take it down to that level of importance, because no matter what, right? No matter what you have, if you can organize it and you can find a way to where you can feel great about yourself, then you can start to not only just become more, but have more, right? Mm-hmm. And that attitude of gratitude that we've both taken on the past couple of years, it hasn't come without hardship at all.
No, not at all.
I think that it goes back to a lot of where our passions lie. And I think if you're okay with it, I'd love to be able to kind of pivot to what we're doing for business owners.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, and kind of like where that started in your mind and how you feel that we can be able to help others grow and see a lot of the things that we've been able to overcome as individuals who are both a visionary and an integrator, because you gave me that definition after we read Traction, and it was just the chapter was just completely the best thing I'd ever seen, because it made me feel understood. And I also think that at the same point, I wanted to kind of feel relieved, because as entrepreneurs, we want to do it all. And me being a visionary and me seeing other visionaries that want to accomplish great feats in the world, and they will, and they'll make a tremendous impact, and they already have. And that's what the show's about. And hopefully it helps them find that unique experience that they can say, you know what, that was very important to my walk, and I'm going to share what I learned, even though I can't really see the importance of it. Like, tell me a little bit about where that started with you, and specifically.
Well, when I kind of listened to you talk more and more, I had a moment where I was like, he's such a mess. And I mean that lovingly.
Yes.
But I caught myself.
Your honesty. Seriously, I'm so glad. I mean, I'm sure people have like, wow, this is a different side here. Really, though, but you know it, and it's important. So thank you.
In a loving way, but you have such a unique gift for loving on people and being so compassionate and intuitive to people's needs. And I have an ability to help people structure themselves and organize themselves. And I thought, like, if I can help him organize himself, there's no way that we can't help so many other people just like that. Because I see, I mean, and there's so many successful people out there that are not organized.
Right.
They're not efficient. They're not they're not doing everything through technological advancement. They're not keeping themselves on a regimented time block schedule. There's a ton of successful people out there like that. But I think there is a limit to the success. I think there is a ceiling to it, and they're going to hit a point where they can't go any further, though they may want to, but they don't have the ability to because they didn't learn scalability. My personality, you know me, pretty abrasive. It is how it is. Like, I'll be nice to an extent, but I'm very serious about what I bring to the table, and my passion comes across more aggression, where it's like, why don't you see I'm trying to help you, you know, type thing. Whereas you have always been so like, so, you know, when Kalie's screaming at you, it's not that she doesn't care about you. She's passionate about helping you so much. And you have that way of being able to just gently say it to people. And I'm like, whatever he said, get your emails organized. So no, I'm not quite like that, but
that is perfect though. You do the best impressions. Listen, I understand how you feel. Like, I was just born to be a psychologist. Like,
honestly,
I think I missed my calling. This was a backup. I hope I did well.
Yeah. It's been a great chapter.
It was. Yeah. That's awesome.
But no, I think it was when we, you know, got to know each other as friends, and I just realized too that, you know, you were just such a good guy, you know, and I've told you this so many times, and I've even told Megan this so many times too, is just, you know, I was raised around a lot of males that were either abusive mentally, physically, sexually, psychologically. My entire life has been filled with men that were not good people in many respects and hurt me in a lot of ways. And so for me, it was a huge thing for me to actually trust you as a guy and just as a friend, where I was like, yeah, I needed someone to talk to about a business idea. So I would call you, and I actually trusted your input. I trusted your insight. That was huge for me. And so I thought to myself too, being that I work with so many female entrepreneurs, I was like, man, I wish other women had like another sounding board of like a safe, good guy to just bounce ideas off of in a safe place, in a safe space. And then, you know, you would constantly tell me like, you know, I'm always wanting to work with, you know, men and help them just be the best version of themselves. And I think it started to formulate slowly. And then we both read Rocket Fuel and Traction. And if you haven't read those books, everybody on here needs to read those books.
Definitely.
And I'm not being paid to advertise for them by any means. But
although there will be an affiliate link probably in the information.
And we will be contacting them soon to set that up. But and I think it started to progress where, you know, you would call me and say like, man, I'm doing this in business. It just, and I would have a solution. I'd be like, oh, well, why don't you do it this and this and this? You're like, that's so good. And then I would say, man, I want to do this. Well, you should do that. And you should go all in. And I was, that's so smart. That's really good. Right. And I guess it kind of dawned on me. I was like, I wish everyone should have us.
Right.
Like, we're so lucky to have like our like best friends and like siblings and, you know, stuff like that. And so I think it started to formulate for us. And all of our conversations came back to wanting to help people. It always came back to that. So I think it was a natural when we read the books, and I was like, well, I'm an integrator. And you were like, I'm a visionary. And,
was that a W?
That was a W, but the W stands for win, because you win as a visionary.
You would say that.
Yeah, that
perfect.
That was corny.
That was
hell.
Yeah, it was very, very good.
Yes.
Well, the reason I wanted to talk about us so much, the reason I wanted to ask you that is because, like, you know, there's a huge importance with complementary skills. And like I mentioned earlier, it's really, really hard as entrepreneurs to sit there and say, you know, I have a downfall in these areas. When I did that, it was like the release that I'd always needed in regards to like being relieved as the person who was always someone that tried to do it all. Like, literally. I mean, my story's been in previous podcasts and whatnots, but I'm also writing a book that doesn't even have a title, so I don't even know. We'll see how it goes. But the thing is that it's important for me to know that people can be extremely receptive to other people having great skill sets that they can trust them to do. Don't micromanage them, right? And then they can have so much more success and avoid a lot of that ceiling that you talked about.
100%. Not only that, but if, you know, and I think that's where we came up with that concept of we could be a temporary operational solution
Mm.
for a company, because having you and I as a staff member would be expensive for people. And we wanted to offer a help, but not kill their bank account.
Right.
But also be a viable means of living and supporting our families. And so I think that's where it just started to evolve in itself. And when we kind of realized that we want to help a lot of people, we both want to help a lot of people. We both know that everyone needs it. Everyone needs help with their mindset at some point. Everyone needs coaching with leadership and how to be a good leader, how to run a company at scale, how to look at your finances and budgets, all the different components. And that's just a few things that you bring to the table with helping leaders, especially of businesses, and helping business owners really understand not only their role, but their vision, and then how to maintain that vision, because it's all about consistency.
Right.
And then I come in on more of an operations level and dialing in on the systems and the procedures that go on with that.
The procedures.
The procedures, not the pro.
That's
procedures.
The procedures. That's our kind of trademarked version of saying it.
We're going to spell it PRAH.
Go ahead.
Procedures.
I had to.
And this is us actually on a daily basis. I'm constantly saying weird words and Rodney making fun of me for them. That's true. Pretty much.
With love, as you've seen. Yeah, true. Debatable.
A little bit of judgment.
Yeah.
But in us, kind of where it came through is, I love operations and systems and putting pieces together and making things organized and systemized. And so we kept talking about it, and, we kept referring different people to each other. And then I think we just realized, why don't we just team up and help as many businesses as possible, help as many people as possible, help their businesses grow and be exactly what they need it to be to meet their vision and meet their ends, but in a way that is palpable. So we come in for like a 90-day, 6-month thing. You pay us to get everything up and running at full efficiency and do everything, that, a fully operational staff would come in and do. We come in as a substitute. And then when we're done, we've set you up for success. So continue being successful without having to pay for it.
That's it. And see, the thing is, number one, great job, as always, explaining what we do. Yes. Is there an applause button? Yeah, I'm going to actually switch. What was that? Perfect. All right. No, but that's the greatest thing about what you said to me is that we work with you for 6 months, tops. Maybe a year if you got multiple different ways of...
Or if you just like us because we're fun to hang out with.
That's true. Or that. But, multiple branches and whatnot. But in the event that most people have these problems, like with just wanting people to continuously buy product and continuously go up this ladder and, ascend into really what just means limited success. Like, follow me. Like, the reason I think it's important that we try to put a 3-month marker or a 6-month marker on it, or even, hey, if we get great enough to do 60 days with the right people, that's saying, hey, we did our job here. We don't want to continue working with you. You are now capable of going to scale and create the impact that we wanted to be invested in the very beginning.
100%.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people that start businesses don't think about the systems and processes and organization, all that in the beginning.
That's right.
It's just, it kind of, you just think about the sales, right? And the proceeds and all of the profit that's going to come. And a lot of people that get up to that level can't afford a fully functioning operational staff of 50 people to manage their success at that point. So it starts out, if you want to keep your costs small and, your overhead small, and do as much as you can to save the money and keep that in your pocket, especially in these uncertain times, you need to invest in what's going to be more of like a quick fix and a quick turnaround time, where you're not having to pay all these different people to do all these different jobs, because you and I can encompass about 10 different operational jobs within just the two of us. We bring to the table so much, and it's full spectrum. It's not just, we're going to come in, we're going to fix your business, and then that's it. We go into the heart of them. We go into the mindset. We go into being the therapist when they need to vent. We go into being the go-between between the staff and the team lead, making sure that the staff or the operational people or the assistants and administration, they feel heard and acknowledged. You also help with the leader, like how to, get your vision across to them in a good way. And so I think it's just, our goal is to not be there with the company for years and years and years. Our goal is to give the company the success techniques, procedures, mindset, processes, all the things they would need to become fully functional and operational and successful, so that when they get to that level of success, not only are they reaping the rewards of the profit and the money wise, but also the calmness and the peace that they are really ultimately chasing, because I think we kind of all are.
Yes.
they're getting that also because they got organized and efficient as well. So there's a twofold piece there that is a requirement for any business owner, I think, really to truly feel that success. And we bring that at a fraction of the cost of what it would be. And I love the fact that we do that because we want to make it affordable for a limited time. So there's just a very, they can budget it in.
Right.
And I mean, like we had with that one client where we ended up saving him, I think it was $7,500 a month on expenses that he wasn't even utilizing and didn't need.
Right.
$7,500.
It's a lot.
Like that money, we probably paid for most of ourselves,
Sure.
like, with that. And so, and I know it wasn't about the money for us, but it was more just, seeing like we got to erase that cost for him.
Right.
And that was, $7,500 adds up quick. I don't math, but I can imagine after 12 months, that's a lot of money. So
as a mather, I can tell you, yes.
Okay. Check. So, I think that's when we realized too that the skill sets, it couldn't just be me going in and organizing their systems. It couldn't just be you going in and coaching them on how to be a good leader. It had to be a coming together of the two. And since I went to a private school and was held back in 4th grade for not knowing Latin, I realized that Latin still has a lot of really cool phrases and things. And so I started looking up like when we talked about partnering and being able to offer this to people. And I came up with the Intandem, meaning two forces coming together towards a common goal.
Perfect.
And I think it was just kind of a forging of both of the iron that we brought to the table. And I think it's a powerful one. And I'm so excited for all the different people and business owners we're going to get to help. It's going to be great.
As am I. I actually, because I mentioned to everyone here and because you obviously know that we talk about it a lot, since we have kind of seen the vision behind the scenes with me and you've told everybody so much about me, which is great.
You're welcome.
Yes. Tell me, like, in regards to my goal and wanting to impact the lives of 1 million people and seeing what we've done to progress and to scale and to just create, hopefully, that significant impact in people's lives, no matter what their influence is. What does the brand mean to you, and how did you resonate with it when it was first something that you came across with me?
I'm so glad you asked because I can honestly say that what you and I are really seeking to do with all these business owners, entrepreneurs, and even just people in their personal lives is to not just influence them to do something that's bettering themselves. And we're not just sending them those, one of those memes from Instagram that's, you can do it, you're awesome, blah, blah, blah. But it's truly having an impact on their life. And an impact is a residual influence, I think, in a way. Because yes, we can influence anybody to do something, but when there's true heart change and there's true breakthroughs, that's called impact. And that is such a powerful thing, as opposed to, I can influence. I can be a really abrasive person. I can influence you all day long and make you feel like you need to be organized. I need to do all that stuff. But unless you have a heart change and you are really seeing it in fruition and actually seeing it really truly have a positive effect in your life, it's not really making an impact on you.
Right.
It's just kind of a manipulation of you.
That's exactly right.
So I think I'm really excited to see the compound effect / impact that we will have. And I resonate with the brand so much, which is why I love it. And I bought a shirt and a hoodie and all the things. Not only to, of course, to support you, but just because I do believe in the message.
Right.
And I know that there are certain key things that have impacted my life rather than just influenced it. And not that influence is a bad thing, it's not at all. But I think the word impact itself. And, when you think about in science talking about that, I remember in science class, they would talk about, the impact of 2 planets colliding or what that would mean. And it was almost an unquantifiable number. It was almost something that you couldn't really visualize. You couldn't really see it. And I feel like, impact of 2 planets is pretty huge in the universe, right? Well, how lucky are we that we get to do that on a human level?
Wow. Thank you. That's amazing. I love that transformative message for me has become almost a way that people can seek all different types of identification with it. Isn't that cool? Like, yes, it's great to have an elevator pitch and have the ability to say exactly what it means, but I've realized that it means so many different things to so many different people. So thank you for all your involvement. Thanks for being a great business partner. Thank you for sharing your story. Any way that anyone else outside of Intandem and what we're doing, any way that they can support you, let us know. Like, tell us where they can go to follow you and what you're doing and what's next for you.
Yeah, so I think I own Lux TC, which is a real estate transaction coordination company, and we work with agents to outsource their contract to close administration pieces of their business and helping them find the leverage that they really need. And I'm excited that I am going to be launching the Lux TC Collective coming the end of this year, which is essentially taking me out of the centerpiece and empowering these women that I believe in wholeheartedly are going to just make such a huge impact on the real estate community.
Perfect.
And it's going to be where they as independent TCs will be running their own businesses, doing their own brand. I'm going to be the coach in the background, cheering them on, providing them all the tools and resources and everything they need to be the best version of themselves. But I want it to be about them. I want it to be them in the spotlight, their agents praising them, not just, oh, Kalie's company. It's not about that anymore. It's not about the Kalie show. I just want to empower them to be their own shows and to just go out and do what they want to do. And me with female empowerment. So that's something I'm really excited about. That's been in the works, and really excited to push that out to the world and just help as many women as I can to run and own businesses. And I'm excited for you and I to just really launch and start just making this incredible dent in all of these business owners that truly and desperately need us to come in and fix. And there's no better time than now, because it's such a crazy time in the world, and it's a weird, quiet but busy time in the year too.
Right.
Holidays are coming and all that, but to me, it's like the New Year's right around the corner. Like, this is a great time to start detoxing your life. And on the side, I'm doing a passion project of working on organization of homes and people, and I'm really excited about that. Simplify my life. That's the message of it. And so I'm going to be focusing on that as a side passion project when we're not busy doing all the business and entrepreneurial things, and just helping people. Like, let me help you organize your closet. Let me organize your fridge. Let's organize your pantry. Let's organize your calendar. Let's organize your schedule. Like, anything you need in your life, personal level. Perfect. I want to be the person to go to for that. And I enjoy it so much. And it won't be a judgment thing. I want to come to your house. I want to see it in shambles, because it'll look that much better when it's done. It'll be that much better of a before and after. And you'll feel so much better as a person once you can see the difference. So I'm just excited for all the things, and just really at the end of the day, like we talk about all the time, right? Mm-hmm. The end goal is just fulfillment, loving what we do, and loving on people.
I really can't say it better myself. Guys, the only thing I'd love to add is that it is a phenomenal pleasure for me to be able to partner with someone like you've been able to see here today. If you do want to see if your business is someone that we can help, visit Intandem Solutions. We actually have a link on there where you can go and click and apply. And if you have watched this interview until the very end, make sure to send Intandem interview somewhere in the application, and we'll be sure to give you 20% off for anything that we can provide for you. Kalie, thank you so much for being here. I can't wait till everybody follows you on Facebook and sees everything you're doing with getting people's lives organized. If you had to leave the audience with one thing, what would it be?
That's a great question. I'm such a talker. There's so many things. I would say I would encourage everybody to just take a really good hard look at, as we're approaching the end of the year, and ironically enough, coming up on Thanksgiving as the next major holiday, I would really encourage everyone to see what they need to detox in their life. Whether it's social media, whether it's just personal life, whether it is just any of the things, just what's something in your life that's been taking from you that you need to eliminate. Detox your life, detox your soul, detox your mindset. Feel refreshed for the coming new year, because 2024 is going to be a great year. I just feel it. Yeah. And we're going to project that into the universe and pray about it, and hopefully that goes through. But I would just encourage everyone to take a good hard look and really see what's necessary in your life that maybe you've been, or what's not necessary in your life that you've been holding on to, and really take a good hard look about getting rid of it and eliminating the mess.
Perfect. Thank you so much again. Guys, this has been Impact is Greater Than Influence. I'm Rodney Waits, your host. Join the movement, become a part of the change, and visit impactstartshere.com.